sold out, I am sold out. My mind is made up. I'm sold out, I am sold out. My mind is made.
From the thought, me too, breaking the culture of silence in the church.
Me Too movement, it is growing this morning. Remember, Alyssa Milano started it all, inspiring millions of women to share their personal stories of sexual harassment and assault. And last night, Reese Witherspoon, you see her right there, she spoke out, Amy, sparking a real national conversation.
Yeah, this has been a very powerful movement. A new ABC News Washington Post poll revealing an estimated 33 million American women have been sexually harassed, and an estimated 14 million have experienced sexual abuse in work-related incidents. That Me Too movement and reaction to the Harvey Weinstein scandal exploding overnight. The latest headline coming from Reese Witherspoon.
I want to start with what Reese Witherspoon said overnight. She's another one that said, me too. You have been very outspoken from the get-go on what you have faced with sexual assault, rape.
Yeah. I mean, I've been talking about being a sexual assault survivor for over 2 decades now. For 20 years, I've been trying to tell my story as honestly as possible, and basically with the goal of never having to hear me too.
If all the women who have been sexually harassed or assaulted wrote me too as a status, we might give people a sense of the magnitude of the problem. Milano posted this at 5:21 p.m. Within seconds, 38,000 people responded to Milano's tweet. This culture of silence not only exists in Hollywood, it exists in every area of our society. And just like Hollywood, women are afraid to speak up. Women are afraid to open up, and women are afraid to share their experiences with domestic and sexual violence, because everywhere a woman turns, she is being told to keep silent. So what does a woman do? She turns to the church, hoping to find some solace, some support there, only to find that even the church is telling her to keep silent, and they're using scripture to justify it. Scripture passages like "let your women keep silent" in the churches have caused a lot of damage, not just for women like me who have been called to preach, but told that I can't preach because women should keep silent in church. But this scripture has been damaging for all women, because when we tell women to keep silent in church, what we are saying is your story doesn't matter. Your experiences don't matter. What you have gone through is not important. Silence is something that the church does very well. And over the years, we have found creative ways to silence women. When victims of domestic violence come to the church, we tell them that divorce is a sin. They should submit to their husbands, and the abuse they're experiencing, oh, that's just your cross to bear. Everyone in this room knows a pastor who has used their power to prey on women. That's pray, P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y. Yet when victims come forward to share their story, we find a way to blame the victim. Well, she shouldn't have been dressing like that in church, tempting the pastor. We find all kinds of ways to excuse, trivialize, and ignore the domestic and sexual violence in the church, including telling women to keep silent. But what I have come to realize is that the church will go out of its way to silence anyone and anything it doesn't want to confront. And because the church doesn't want to confront the reality of domestic and sexual violence, we tell women to keep silent in church. Because if the women are silent, the church won't have to deal with these issues. The women are silent. There's no way that we can bring these stories into the light. But today, I have come to let you know that we are breaking the culture of silence in this church. This one passage doesn't represent all of what God has to say about women and speaking. As a matter of fact, if we were to look throughout Scripture, what we will find is that God is very much in support of women speaking out. Can I call the roll this morning? In Exodus, Miriam speaks up in order to save her brother Moses. At a time when Pharaoh had ordered that all newborn Hebrew boys should be killed, Miriam advocated for her brother. Some would argue that Exodus owes its beginning not to Moses, but to Miriam for speaking up. In the book of Esther, we meet not one, but two women who were not afraid to speak up. First, we meet Queen Vashti, who refused to parade around naked in front of her husband and his drunken friends. She spoke up and said, nope, not today. And because she spoke up, she made space for another woman by the name of Esther. Esther came on the scene, and because she spoke up, advocated for her people, she was able to save an entire nation. In the book of Joel, the prophet declares that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. All right. Maybe you can't get with all of that Old Testament stuff. Let me take it to Jesus. You see, it was a woman at a well in Samaria who had an encounter with a man named Jesus. You see, she didn't keep that encounter to herself. She went out and she told everyone she came in contact with, come see a man who told me everything I ever did. And because she spoke out as the first evangelist, she was able to save hundreds of people. I'm not done. You see, a woman by the name of Mary Magdalene was the first to preach the gospel, the good news of the resurrection. While all the male disciples had run and they were hiding, it was Mary Magdalene who pressed her way to the tomb. It was Mary Magdalene who was able, when women speak up, lives are changed, communities are transformed, nations are birthed. When women speak up, movements get started. I don't know where we would be if these women had decided to keep silent in the church. I don't know about you, but I'm so glad that they didn't keep silent. And you know what? We won't either.
Sold out, I am sold out.